Hello, today I'm going to teach you how to make bread, or try to anyway. Basic ingredients are flour, I'm going to use a starter, I'm also going to use yeast as well, because I use a crossbred, or should I say a hybrid, salt and sugar. Alex, could you just come closer and I can show you the actual starter itself inside. So this is what it should look like. Can you see? I describe it as, you can talk. I describe it as, it looks like the top of a crumpet, basically. So what I've got 500 millilitres of warm water, approximately 28 degrees, because it just speeds up the production. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put another 500 grams of sourdough. If you could have a look in the sourdough again, see how that is. It's all fermented and quite rotten, really, isn't it? It's great, isn't it? I will go through how to make the sourdough in one moment. Just bear me a moment while I just weigh out 500 grams of this. It's quite a boring process, really. So with the sourdough, if you start off with a bowl, 100 grams of strong flour and 100 millilitres of water, mix the two together and leave them out overnight without a lid on. And you continue doing that for about 3 days till you can see it's really fermented, and then you can actually put a lid on it and put it in the fridge. But you must continually feed it, I would say, every 2 days. And what I normally do is, I would say I come home from work, and I don't actually come home from work at the moment. So you come home from work, take it out of the fridge, and let it start to ferment a little bit, and then add your flour and water, give it a good stir, and leave it out a little bit longer and put it in the fridge. Well, that's 500 grams of that. And then I add 60 grams of yeast. Don't try and panic and write all the ingredients down, because I will read them out many times.
I can send it.
Right, so we have a kilo of flour, as you can see where that's coming from, can't you? No secrets there. We have 4 tablespoons of salt, 3 tablespoons of sugar. And literally just pour everything in. And turn it on. It's going to make a bit of a noise, so I do apologise. I'm aware it's not fully mixed, but my machine doesn't take very well to lots of things in here, and it blows a fuse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out and show you the traditional method by hand. Once I've mixed it all together, so just literally whip it out onto the table. Actually just work it. Now, flour, bread, it's a very susceptible ingredient. If you've got lots of cleaning products on your table, it will kill the yeast. So have a clean work surface, but just give it a wash down with just plain water first. All of my ingredients are of room temperature, so nothing's come out of a sort of like a shed outside, so it's of a cold temperature. So we're just literally just working it all in, getting all the flour in there. Don't add any extra flour into it because you shouldn't need to, because as you can see it's quite firm. Now the concept what I want to do now is to stretch the gluten and push it back together. You can see at the moment it's quite sort of brittle. So we're stretching it, and then when we can, give it a good slap on the work surface. We need to do this for 10 minutes, so I suggest I would cut it now, and then we'll come back to it in about 5 minutes. Right, so as you can see, it's more. You bring it in. You bring it closer. The dough's a lot smoother and more stretchy. What I'm doing is I'm stretching it and trying to encapsulate some air in there. Give it a good slap, working that gluten. It's a good way of cleaning the work surfaces as well. But just to recap the recipe, it's 1 kilo of flour, 4 tablespoons of salt, sorry, 4 teaspoons of salt, 3 teaspoons of sugar, 500 millilitres of water. If you can get it to around about 28 degrees, if you don't have a thermometer, if you put your finger inside your mouth, that's about 28 degrees. That's the temperature of the water you're looking at. It just speeds the process up. 500 grams of starter and 60 grams of fresh yeast. If you're using dried yeast, you want to halve the yeast. There is a fact sheet that will be emailed to people later on. So, that's that done. What we need to do now, don't bother cleaning your bowl, put it in your bowl, cling film it or cover it with a cloth and leave it until it's double the size. Depending on the temperature of your, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat with this nice day. I'm just going to bring up the curtains and let it sit in the sun for a bit. I would say around about an hour on that, and that should be ready, but we'll see shortly. Okay? Hello, so you come closer. As you can see, it's comfortably twice the size, and I think that, what do you reckon that was, 45 minutes? Hour?
About that, yeah.
Get out of the bowl. I just use a scraper, nothing exciting. You see there's a lot of air in there. I guesstimate halfway. Like so. Give them a quick dust. A little bit out of shape, look at that, nicer shape. And then just 3 or 4 nice cuts. What this does is it assists in the expansion, so you don't get loads of cracks all over your bread. So it looks like that awful tiger bread you get in Tesco's. And then just leave those in the sun with the cloth on or cling film until, again, they're double the size. And that's it. As you can see, it's risen twice the size, and if you look closely, you can see it's split open just like a bread from Tesco's, isn't it? And one thing I did forget to tell you, you just need to lightly grease the tin. So these are non-stick, but it is also nice. So the temperature of the oven is on 230 degrees, sorry. Middle shelf. And approximately 35 minutes. What I normally do is I cook it on 35 degrees for about 15 minutes and I just turn it down slightly. And that's it. So we can see. Bread has been in for approximately 35 minutes. As you can see, I've turned the temperature down to about 150 and I've taken them out the moulds just to give a nice crust on the outside. The best way to check if your bread is cooked is to pick it up. Can you hear that? Nice sort of hollow, dense sound. I don't normally do this, cut it straight away, but obviously we really should see what's inside. But before I cut it, there's nothing better to have with your fresh bread than the Cavalry and Guards Club products. We have 127 marmalade, which is selling really well and everyone really loves it. We have red cabbage pickle, and we have piccalilli, which we are now calling 127 Piccadilly. We also have a red onion marmalade, but that's all gone unfortunately at the moment. But we are having that at the club at all times. So we just and there's your finished product. Nice crispy bread ready for my lunch. Thank you very much.